Away we go. Welcome, everybody. It's Rob Brown here with the next in a series of virtual roundtable discussions we've been doing with leaders in global accounting networks. And we are in some crazy times right now. The accountants in the world have been described as emergency services for business. They are standing in that gap and trying to get the economy going again, being that trusted advisor. We have four very influential panelists with us today. There are leaders of leaders, if you like. They are bonding these accounting firms together, providing them with insight, best practice, and getting them all talking and sharing what's working and what isn't. I'm pleased to have Richard Kleiner and Martin Clapson on with us again. So you fellas must have done something right last time. So congratulations. And we've got Yub and Garana with us too. I'm going to ask you all to introduce yourselves in just a moment. Talk about the organization you represent. Feel free to big up who you represent as much as you like, but it's not size matters. We're all in this game, sharing insights. It's great to have your contribution today. So, Martin, you're never short of a word or two. Can I ask you to kick us off with a quick introduction?
Thank you, Rob. I take that as a compliment.
Indeed, sir.
Yeah, so I'm Martin Clapson, as you said. I am the CEO of IAPA. IAPA is a medium-sized, I know you did say it's not about size, but we are a medium-sized association of accountants and lawyers. IAPA is, we've got as members, accountants, lawyers, we've got about 200 members from about 75 countries. IAPA is about 40 years old, and I've been involved in IAPA for about 10 years and held various roles as European chairman, global vice chairman, global chairman, and for the last few months I've been the CEO. And in my other time, I'm the managing director of Price Bailey, a top UK accounting firm. Okay. I'm the MD of.
Do you make the tea as well, Martin? When
no, I do have one or two people who do bits and pieces, and okay. But I try to do as little as possible, and I just do shows like this. To be honest, it's perfect for me.
That's where the glamour is, isn't it? Well, it's great to have you with us. Job Dieleman, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. We've had a bit of practice on this, but it's a Dutch name, isn't it? So welcome, and please give us a little introduction.
Yeah. I'm the global market director for Alineo Global, and Alineo Global is the second largest association of accounting and advisory firms. We are in about 85 countries now, with close to 240 firms, a little bit over 4 billion in revenue. I lead a global team of regional directors, and our responsibilities are recruiting. The international connectivity is a big thing. It's making sure that clients of all the members can expand globally and are successful. We engage our members in a number of activities. We support the development of a member services model around the world, and we're solution providers.
Got it. Okay. Well, it is great to have you with us. Richard Kleiner, you and I go back a ways. Lovely to have you back on. A quick introduction, sir, please.
In addition to being chairman of Excellency, which is a bit smaller than the other two organizations, so we're about 90 member firms across about 65 countries, predominantly accountants, but also lawyers as well. And we also have the odd management consultant firm. My day job is as CEO of a mid-tier firm of accountants in London, called Jorad Edelman. So we're an 18-partner firm, about 150 people, with outlets in Liverpool as well as London as well. It's strange, surreal times we all live in. But actually, as I always say to people, great leaders come from these sort of times. It's very easy to look good when things are good.
Very good point. And I've heard the phrase used quite often recently, good leaders never waste a tough crisis. They use it to propel forward, and despite all the dark stuff that's happening, this is really a chance for good leaders to shine. Garana Stojanovic, I would have a go at that. How is that? Please give us a little introduction.
Brilliant pronunciation. Thank you. So I am the Executive Director of Communications and Strategy at Prime Global. I've been at Prime Global for about 5 years, and my career at Prime Global started with communications and marketing. So everything it has to do with brand building, with PR, with member services, pretty much anything you can imagine, our website, social media, and so on. But then it's really expanded into strategy as well. So kind of looking at the future, which is now a very difficult thing to do, these, unprecedented, uncertain times, and trying to really predict what's going to happen, the problems our firms are facing, the challenges that are coming out of this, but also the opportunities that are coming up. So that's kind of my role, to identify those opportunities and then also help our firms deal with challenges and find a way out of this situation as well, and kind of being future proof.
Yeah.
So that's about it. We have around 300 members in 90 countries, turnover around 3 billion. So we're kind of top 5, not the biggest, but definitely not the smallest. And yeah, around 900 locations around the world as well. So very, very, very varied and very diverse.
Sure. And it's great to have you all on. You're all stepping in that gap and representing accountants and lawyers, to be fair, in different capacities. So yeah, super to have you all on. You talk about uncertainty there, Gorana, and we are certainly in uncertain times. I've heard the phrase that this is not going to be a reboot, but a reset. When we turn your computer off, you turn it back on again, it's not going to be how it was before. So we know that we're in crazy times. So we're going to delve into these a little bit. And you and Job are representing Prime Global and Alineo. We've had Steve Heathcote on here. He did a terrific job, so you're filling in his footsteps. And Job, you've got to follow Terry Snyder, who's done a couple of panels for us. So
he's tough to follow.
You've obviously got a deep bench, you guys. Let's just leave it at that. So great to have you with us. Let's kick off. And Richard, I'm going to start with you on this one. How good are accountants at responding to change? Because as a race, they've been doing the same balance sheets, the same ways of doing stuff, the same qualifications for hundreds of years. You then throw them into a situation where, as Gorana said, there's huge uncertainty. How have you seen them respond to what's going on right now?
Well, I think traditionally the view was accountants, and probably lawyers are even worse, are very bad at change, anything to do with change. And I think what accountants have had to do in the current time is change and adapt to a changing environment. 6 months ago, if we were all asked, you're all going to be working from home, 150 people of you, and it'll work, and the technology will survive, and you'll be having a thing called Zoom meetings and team meetings, I, for one, would not have believed it was possible. But actually, when the lockdown came in the UK, within 24 hours, we were doing exactly that. And yes, there hasn't been a completely smooth transition, but we've adopted different techniques to stay close to our team. And I think accountants have clearly had to change, and therefore, hopefully that will stand those members and member firms or organizations in good stead when, as you say, Rob, when there's a reset, it will be different. There's a very interesting article in the UK press on Sunday from, I think it was Deloitte or PwC's managing partner, about presenteeism is dead, no longer. Previously, to look good, you had to be in the office, morning, noon, and night, even at weekends. Now, nobody's in the office, but productivity is still okay. We monitor figures on a weekly basis, and our chargeable time is ahead of last year, even though we've furloughed some people. And that's true of other member firms within the Excellency organization as well. So productivity and trusting and putting faith in your team to deal with the thing in a way which has high levels of integrity is going to be very key, and trusting them. And I think that's another important lesson that we're going to learn. You don't have to physically see somebody to ensure that they're working. And therefore, the sort of old style process of almost treating staff like pupils is gone. We're all adults and we've all got responsibility. And actually, if one of our team want to get up early and go and play golf in the afternoon, that's fine, as long as they get their work done.
Sure. And you've been through a few things in your life. That jacket over the chair culture, you've got to be in the room. That's how you make partner. That's how you make your way. Those days are perhaps gone, and accountants do have to change and adapt, don't they? Yeah,
no, they definitely have to change and adapt. And I think they are, the one thing about accountants and lawyers is they're not silly people. They're pretty bright. Yeah. And hopefully they get the message pretty quickly. And I think that's what's happened. We've all got the message very quickly and are responding accordingly.
Yeah.
yeah, it will be different. I mean, my own firm, we quite fortunately, one of our property offices lease comes to an end end of September. We're not replacing it. So we're going to have now in London only one office. That means that we're going to have a work from home policy where we expect our team to work from home at least 2, possibly 3 days, and in some cases 4 days a week.
Yeah, keep your powder dry, Richard, because we're going to talk about the future at some point. But Gub, let me come to you on this one. How have you seen your member accounting firms respond to this?
I think there is a lot of concern. You read about a lot of concern that it's difficult for accountants to change, but I always remind them, I'd say, every change in the past has been good for accountants. You know, it's always led to new ways of working with clients, adding more value, being more productive. It's always, you know, that's always been the case. Look at 2008, 2009, look at even the advent of the computer, cloud computing, and that's going to happen again. I'm a lot more optimistic, perhaps, than many. It's true, accountants are conservative, they're risk averse, they're cautious. But if they run their business like a professional business, they run it like a business, they've got good leadership, they've got the right people on the bus, right capabilities, they've got A clients, they will have nothing to be concerned about. Of course, the story hasn't ended yet. Mm-hmm. You know, the first two or 3 months was a lot of compliance work. They did well. I think they'll continue to do well, but you know, this may last a little longer than we thought.
Yeah, sure. And Martin, you and I go back a ways. I was almost going to describe you as a creative accountant, but that doesn't come out right. But you are very entrepreneurial in your outlook, I know, and you're open to change. You drive that in your culture. But how do you feel accountants generally are responding to what's happening?
I think, I agree with what Richard said. I agree with what's been said already, fully. But accountants do struggle with change sometimes. But they do need leaders, and they do want to make money, and it is a business, so they will change. But I think the biggest change I can see going forward now is this comment: do we need to be in an office or not? And there's so many people. If you had asked back in 2019, so many of our members and our will be saying they must have John Smith and Julian next to him to be able to work. Now that's gone now, isn't it? That argument is gone completely. And as productivity is held up, and actually, yeah, I always say our members don't employ people to sit at their desk Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. Our members employ people to look after their clients really well. And actually, when you think about that, actually, our members employ people to look after their clients really well. It doesn't matter where they sit. It doesn't matter what time they do that work. Actually, as long as they look after their clients really well, that's the most important thing. And I think if this is a health crisis and lots of people have died and lots of people have got ill, but for our members, this is a great opportunity to use the word reset. I think it's a great opportunity to get rid of old systems, old ways of doing things, and change things for the best. And I think most of our members should actually look forward with confidence. Once we get through it, it might take another year or two. It's not going to be the next month or two, the next year or two. They should look forward with real confidence because they'll be using technology a lot better. They'll actually understand why they're in business, to look after their clients, not to employ people just to sit at a desk. They're there to look after their clients. And I think we can do that far more efficiently and far more effectively. And I think it's a great opportunity in this period I use this phrase, I've copied it from somewhere, so I need to give but to get rid of barnacles on the bottom of a ship, to get rid of that weight. This is a ship comes in once a year or how long, I've got no idea, to be serviced, and you take all the barnacles off the bottom of the ship. And those barnacles weigh down the ship and it makes it slower, makes it more difficult to turn. This is our chance, whilst everybody's working from home, to look at how we've done things in the past and improve on it and get rid of those barnacles and reduce those processes and inefficiencies which slow us down. Yeah. And I think we should really look at this in a really positive way, ignoring the fact that it is a health crisis, and it is a health crisis. We should never forget that. But it is a massive opportunity to improve our firms.
Sure.
And we should be the individuals who should be guiding that journey.
Yeah. Goran, what are your thoughts on this? I saw you nodding a couple of times there where Martin was speaking.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with Martin. And, also Richard said that this profession is full of very smart and very capable people. And, that's obvious. The moment you come into this profession, you see that. But what I always felt was lacking a little bit was that creativity and that innovation. And so what I can see right now is that this crisis has almost, forced us to change. And to really look at how we've been doing things and to try to reevaluate how we can do things better. So somebody just the other day sent me an article, I think it was Accounting Today article from 8 years ago. And, it was talking about the mega trends in the profession, things like emerging technology, moving to remote working, succession, new generation in the workplace, all of those things. I mean, exactly the same things that we are talking about right now, but it still kind of feels like we haven't made much of a move in the last 8 years since that article was published. But then I find it really impressive and incredible how in the course of these 3-4 months, we have actually managed to make much more of a move than we have maybe for many, many, many years in the past. So, we had lots of firms talking, we are present in 90 countries around the world. So you can imagine that in some places in the world, some firms have not even moved to the cloud yet. They've been talking about it for 10 years, haven't done it. Now, within just 3 months, they've done it, so they're making a very rapid move now. Remote working, everybody said, no way. I think on one of your podcasts, actually, Rob, I heard somebody said, over my dead body, are we moving to, remote working? Yeah. And now everybody's done it. And actually what members are reporting back is that the productivity levels have gone, a lot higher than what they used to be before. So we can really see that it's not that scary to make the change. And actually, when we are under pressure, we are able to be more creative and to innovate and to reinvent ourselves. So I think this presents, a huge opportunity. And I think we are capable of a lot more change than what we maybe initially thought.
Sure. And you all seem very optimistic and positive about, although we're in dark times, this is a real opportunity for accountants. But listen, if they were getting it so right, they wouldn't need to be members of a network or association. So, Job, let me ask you, how are you supporting your members at times like this? What do they need from you and how are you staying relevant for them?
I think firms join organizations like ours to become really professionally managed firms, to manage their firm well, to grow, to improve client service, and to address people challenges. So it prepares them for crises exactly like this, and to thrive in any kind of environment and to compete successfully. So when this happened, we kind of took two approaches. We very quickly realized there was a short-term approach. There needed to be a quick response to a lot of very pressing issues, which we just talked about. So addressing communication with clients, taking care of staff, making sure they have a great working environment. They were focused, they were engaged. Lots of issues like the cash flow issues was a big one. And most really needed assurance. For example, one of the things we did was we have a concept called executive working groups. We've had it in North America for a long time. Managing partners, leaders of firms have a great need, really like to talk to other leaders of firms. It can be a very lonely job. Yeah. So we bring leaders together in small groups and they talk about strategy. They share what they are doing. They hold each other accountable on what strategies they're pursuing and how that's working out. And we have rolled these programs out globally, and that's been phenomenal. And that's really that was really a forum where they discussed a lot of these issues and they learned from each other what all of them are doing to address these issues, because they're the same across the globe. Mm. We also got a lot of feedback on what their needs were from these sessions. We had them facilitated either by a member or by an outside facilitator. It was a great way for us to learn what members were thinking and what was keeping them up at night. And that provided great input for us going forward. Technology is a big part of that. But there was a bigger picture down the road. I mean, we call it a strategy reboot. You call it a reset. So now we're 3-4 months into it, and they've met almost weekly, certainly the first 2 or 3 months. They're talking now, they're making a transition to talking about different issues, but the larger picture on what needs to change in their longer term plans and strategy.
Yeah.
And that's where they're talking about technology, how to integrate technology in their firms to reach efficiencies on new things they can do with their clients, looking for opportunities that came as a result of the crisis. So it's a much larger picture. And our firms too, you know, they're focused now in doing things in months instead of years. They're focused to really take action. And we've tried to facilitate a lot of that.
Yeah.
We help them build advisory business. That's another big part of the longer term picture. Advisory is where it's going to be long term. That's where you can differentiate and excel. But
sure
it's not easy to do that overnight.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll come back to
that's the larger picture, longer term.
Yeah, we'll come back to the advisory thing, I'm sure. Richard, you're unique in that you run a membership organization, but you're also a member firm in a way. So how have you leaned into a network, and what have your members got from you by way of support through this?
Well, very early on, we had a conference that was due to take place in Brussels in May, which obviously had to be cancelled. So instead, we ran a webinar for member firms, and it was about sharing experiences, sharing the concerns each of us had, sharing some of the creativity that Garana mentioned before, and using it as a springboard to change the way we did things and to change the way we interact with clients, and to seek more positive, more enhanced relationships with those clients. My firm we have a little saying. Number one, we don't. If you go on our website, we don't actually use the word accountants to describe what we do.
Okay.
And we use this concept about going beyond compliance, because compliance has been for some time, but will definitely continue to increase a commoditized service. And we've got to get out of the compliance-based, audit and assurance-based work and get much more into whether it's advisory or it's just different, that you've got to engage with a client on so many other levels than just compliance. And that otherwise you will lose the compliance work, because it'll be a slippery slope. And lots of member firms around the world that haven't quite got themselves into that mindset of thinking. And one of our member firms in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, he attended this webinar, and we described in our firm that we'd brought in a free service of a non-exec director role for a selected number of clients per partner, just to attend a weekly or a fortnightly or even a monthly call with the senior management team of the client, just to be an objective observer and to, lend a shoulder to cry on if need be, and just challenge some of their thinking about what to do and how to do it, and nothing to do with accounts, nothing to do with tax. And he then sent me an email about 3 weeks later and said, I used what you'd done, and I just rang one of my big clients. And the client said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "No, I'm just finding out how you and your family are." He said, What, no tax problem? He said, "No, just finding how you and your family are." And he said the client was so grateful for the call. He said, "I came away thinking, oh my God, I've been missing this for months and years, about how to just engage clients on a different level rather than just coming to be, to the compliance work." And we've embraced this very fully. So, so much so that in my firm, partners are encouraged, and if they don't do it, they tend to get hit in their pocket, to not do compliance work. They need to delegate it.
Yeah.
And I think more and more, the leaders of the firms, whether they're partners or senior managers, have got to think about ways of engaging with the clients, but not mentioning anything to do with accounts, anything to do with tax. That work needs to be delegated, and it will make productivity and efficiency greater. And as we move forward, it will mean that those clients, the fees from those clients will go up. The compliance piece might come down in proportion, but there'll be so many other services that are being able to be offered.
Yeah.
And somebody said to me once, "If you don't call yourselves accountants, what are you?" and I say your first port of call. Because if we can't deal with it, we'll recommend somebody that we believe can help you. Because we can't do everything. We're not a big four firm that has everything under one roof.
Sure.
So there are things that we need to be able to push out. And I think what's happened, whether it's online shopping has advanced by 5 years because of COVID, I think the move to the beyond compliance role for accountants has also advanced by a number of years.
Yeah, that sounds right. And Garan, there's a curiosity, isn't there, amongst your members that they want to know what everyone else is doing. How are you coping like I'm coping? Are you experiencing what I'm experiencing? How have you stayed relevant for your members?
I think you're absolutely right, that everybody needs support and needs to kind of understand what's going on and to see how others have dealt with pressures that they've been under. So we've made sure to bring members together pretty much every day. We've launched just at the beginning 90 webinars in 90 days series. So we really kind of addressed any topic that was out there. We were really surveying our members, trying to hear, what their issues are, what the problems are, and then to find a way to address that and to share knowledge. I think something we forget about sometimes is that there is so much knowledge within these networks and within these associations that, just sharing that and learning from each other is really a huge opportunity. So, for example, we've even seen, and this is the creativity I'm talking about, but we've even seen members sharing infrastructure, sharing technology, really teaching each other how to do things that they didn't do before, and sharing those experiences. And that platform that we have provided has been very valuable. I know you said we'll talk about advisory a little bit later on, but I think this is really kind of a key area where, even though everybody feels great that now suddenly this trusted advisor status has been, significantly strengthened, and we all feel very good about that being the first port of call, and all of that is absolutely brilliant, and it creates opportunities to extend service lines, for example. But I think it also puts a lot of firms out of their comfort zone. So, kind of developing those skills, those soft skills, getting a deeper understanding of clients' businesses, harnessing data to predict and to help businesses plan, and really kind of developing those, as I said, soft skills is something that accounting firms do still struggle with. So, this is one of the areas as well where we've offered support and workshops for our members who really want to get into that field a little bit more, because, as you said yourself, that really is the future.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, Martin, isn't there? This is not a time for a firm to be out there doing it alone. They need to plug into something bigger than themselves, right?
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't matter how good a firm is, doesn't matter how good the leaders of the firm, how clever they are, it is lonely, and you do need, it's fine. I think somebody said earlier, during the good times, you can look good and you can do really well during the good times. But even in good times, you should be sharing and you should be listening and you should be learning from other good firms. But during times like this, it's invaluable, absolutely invaluable to be part of an association or a network, and to realize that you're not on your own. I like to simplify things. Business, running an accountancy firm or a law firm, or running an association or a network isn't complicated at the end of the day. When you take away all the words, it's quite simple, but it's lonely, and you do need reassurance. And I think even the strongest leaders need reassurance that what they're doing in their firm or what we're doing for our members is not daft or stupid. So you do want to sort of listen, see what they're doing, and compare. And I think that the number one way to learn is to listen from your peers. I'm not a great fan of going to lectures and listening to so-called experts. I want to listen to people who are doing the job now and how they're coping. And I think that's where an association or a network really brings real value to their members, is sharing stories, sharing war stories, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and especially globally, because this pandemic is at different stages around the world, and therefore we can learn from how certain firms have coped, what they've learned, and we learn from their mistakes. And I think that's where, so yeah, it is lonely. And why would you want to be a leader or a firm on your own at times like this?
Yeah. You bring us nicely onto leadership, Martin, and Gorano, I'll bounce back to you on this one. You are leaders of leaders in your roles. So what does good leadership look like in challenging times like this, both for leaders of firms and leaders of networks?
Well, I think for our firms, what we've been hearing more and more from our firms is that listening is really important for leadership. So really understanding things from the client's perspective, working directly with clients to help scenario plan, to help with business ideas, to help to strategize and to make plans for the future, to get that deep understanding of clients' businesses, to be able to predict what will happen in the future. So listening and then advising and working together, that's something that's been a leadership skill that our member firms have been sharing with us, and that's been very successful for them. I think it's the same for us in associations and networks world. It is really to listen to our firms and to see what are the areas that they're struggling with the most, what concerns they have, and then helping to address those. So really adjust what we're offering, not continuing with exactly the same kind of one size fits all, but really being agile, being flexible, being able to change, as now, rapid changes is the kind of, time that we're living in right now, and being able to address that very quickly based on the member needs, and providing that value has been very, very important for us. And then, leadership, it's a very broad term, but, we're also looking at diversity. We're also looking at things like women's leadership. So we've partnered with Thomson Reuters, for example, to work on those issues as well. So really thinking about the future and how we can make this profession a little bit more modern, a little bit more forward thinking, and finding those partnerships and working together with others to lead in the way we want to go, and we think and we can hear our members want to go as well.
Yeah, Martin, you've seen old school leadership, you've seen new school leadership, but we are in complex times, and being a leader now, it must be more difficult than it used to be, is it? Or is it nothing changed?
Well, I mean, leadership over the years has always been a challenging job, and like we said, it's lonely, and you've always got that uncertainty. Am I doing the right thing? Is this the right direction to move to? But as I just mentioned, actually, listening is so important for a leader, to listen, and I also think to ask for help. I mean, some leaders think they just know the answer and they don't ask for help. And I think actually asking for help, listening, being open to be challenged without taking any criticism personally. Nobody is perfect, so therefore we all make mistakes. And I think it is tough for leaders, but I do believe a good leader will have people around them who they can ask and confide in, ask questions, confide in, and also people who will just be honest with them about how they are performing as a leader. And I think a good leader will be sensitive to those issues and concerns, and is happy to talk. But also a good leader is able to be, I don't know what the right word is, thick-skinned enough. Once they've made a decision, they made it. And you're not going to please everybody. And some members if you're running the business, some of your employees aren't going to be happy with your decisions, especially a time like now where we're talking about resetting the firms or get rid of barnacles. You're going to be making decisions which some of your people won't like, because they've done the job this way for the last 20 years. Why should they change now?
Yeah.
So there's, with a lot of change, which is great for the organisations, but might not be great for a number of your individuals in your organisations.
Yeah.
And you need to you shouldn't let that hold you back. So you need to be able to make the right decision, know it's the right decision, but then with a heart and with compassion, deal with those individuals who will struggle on that journey of change.
Yeah, but Richard, it is tricky, isn't it? Because as leaders, we're now asked to make very strong commercial decisions in very emotional, uncertain circumstances. So what does strong leadership look like for you?
Well, I think strong leadership, as I mentioned before, takes on a different level in these uncertain times. So taking responsibility for making tough decisions is what true leadership's all about. Facing up to challenges, not cowering in the light of difficulties, but taking a process approach to look at each particular obstacle and deal with situations as humanely as you can. But at the end of the day, the economics have to come to the fore for the sake of the organisation, whatever that organisation is. And I think leadership and responsibility starts at home. It starts with your own firm. I mean, I know in my firm, we've had to furlough people, we've made people redundant. Not a lot, fortunately. I mean, only 7 or 8% of the firm got made redundant. But it gave us an opportunity as well to deal with issues that we weren't happy with in normal times, when you tend not to, look at these situations in the same way. Whereas this situation now is one where you need to look at it and you need to make those tough decisions. Yeah. So taking responsibility and leading by example. There's a good article which I'm about to blog on social media, which is about communicate, and keep communicating, being transparent, taking on the fair degree of accountability, and through examples of that leadership that will infiltrate through the whole organization. Yeah. Where people embrace those quality things of being transparent and accountable for their time, for their integrity, and obviously for client relationships. Got it. Yeah. If we can do that to ourselves inside the organization, then we can transfer those skill sets very easily across to clients. So that clients can also adopt similar approaches with their own teams.
Yeah. Job, who would be a leader in these complex, challenging times?
At Alineo, I think, and all of us, I think we can only lead if we're completely in sync with the needs of our members.
Right.
If we understand what keeps them up at night, what their concerns about, what they're really concerned about, their challenges, that's number one, I think. And the way to do that, and others have talked about it, is do a lot of listening. And we spend a lot of time in our organization listening to our members. You look at our infrastructure, our governance. We've got strategic planning committees across the globe, and it gets more complicated when you do this globally, because there are a lot of things the same, but there are differences at the same time. So listening helps us understand, and then translating what we're learning and working with our members to develop a vision of what the firm of the future looks like, and translating that into a membership services model that will help them be better firms, to adjust and to innovate and become a better performing firm.
Well, you talk about firm of the future there, and let's get our crystal balls out right now. And Martin, let me come to you first on this one. We know that there's a recession looming. It's a global recession. Tax bills that have been due have been kicked down the road, so they're going to become payable. Loans taken out are going to become payable. There's a whole load of stuff going on with bringing staff back to work. So some people said 2021 might be even darker than 2020. So what do you see coming up in your crystal ball for the accounting profession?
I think, I don't know. I really don't know. If I know,
Okay, well, Richard, what do you think?
No, but I really don't know. But what I do know is there's a juggernaut coming. It's called the worst economic crisis in living memory.
You're calling that now, are you? You're calling it now, yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to hit us. It's going to hit our members. It's going to hit our associations and networks. It's going to hit our own firms. And that juggernaut is coming. And it's not there yet. And I'm talking predominantly from a UK, Northern Europe perspective here, and maybe North Hemisphere perspective. But this autumn and winter is going to be, I would predict, to be very, very tough for the economy. There's unemployment is going up now, but it will go up significantly more. We've got no idea how COVID-19 will react once we get into the autumn and the winter, and if there's no vaccine there. So this juggernaut of the economic crisis with the health crisis on top of it is going to hit our firms. And I think it's really important, therefore, that member firms are dealing with their issues now. If they should have been dealing with them already, but if they haven't done it already, start doing it now. Deal with those inefficiencies, deal with those poor performing individuals, deal with those barnacles, get rid of them, and do it now. And actually try to fatten the firm up, the businesses up with reserves and cash to get through So when the juggernaut hits, rather than it splattering you, it only knocks you sideways. And then hopefully we just get through it. And I think you'll get through that. I agree. Loads of communication. Communicate with clients, with the members. Encourage the members to communicate with their clients. Encourage the members to communicate with their team members, and just keep sharing. Let them know what's going on, because our members, employees, and our members' clients are going to be unbelievably nervous and worried over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. And we should be there as businesses, telling them, being there as their friend, holding their hands and saying, look, we're there with you. Yeah. We're there with you. And I agree, it's not all about compliance, as we said earlier, it's about advisory, but then it's also deeper than that. It's about friendship. It's about being there. And we'll get through this together. And it's getting to that point where actually you're part of their family, and we'll survive together. So it's going to be tough, but hopefully with decisions made already and decisions to be made, and with our help and guidance, our members should get through it.
Yeah, you talked about the firm of the future, but some firms are not even getting it right at the moment. We've had award-winning firms here in the UK go out of business. So what do you see coming up in the future for the accounting profession?
I think smaller firms will have a little bit more of a challenge. The world is getting more complex. It's more expensive to be in business and to make the adjustments. Interest rates are low. This is a great time to think about investing in technology. Technology is a big factor in how we go forward and how we use technology. It can be complicated, but if we always focus on how technology serves the clients, how it can help us do more and better things for clients, and how it can help us internally, we'll stay on the right track.
And your technology has been a saving grace, hasn't it? Because if this COVID would have happened in the mid-90s, we wouldn't have had Zoom and the internet and everything else, would we?
Yep, absolutely. It's been, everybody, one of the things that's really helped is everybody is pretty much on the cloud. That's helped a lot with continuity. That's huge.
Yeah.
I think accounting firms have to go look forward, not only technology, but also the impact of technology it's going to have on audit and taxes, and focusing on advisory services where much of the value is. That will take a large transition. That will take an investment. That's not something you do overnight. We have built some strong strategic relationships with firms that are helping our members do exactly that, and a lot of them going in that direction. And that will give them some more income, more profitable businesses, less impact from technology, a way to differentiate. I think it's going to solve a lot of the people issues that we've had. A lot of the repetitive work will disappear. Young people will be attracted by more challenges within accounting firms, forward-looking work, which is more interesting. So I think it offers lots of potential for big positive changes. And firms need to focus on growth. Many new opportunities are arising as a result of this.
Yeah. Gorana, with your role, you've got one foot in the now and one foot in the future. So what do you see coming up in your crystal ball?
I absolutely agree that it's going to be tough. I mean, there is no doubt about that. So, rather than focusing on that, I'd like to say that, I'm trying to remain positive, and also to see this as a bit of a wake-up call for the profession, we've been given almost a second chance.
But didn't we have a wake-up call in 2008 now with the global economic crash there? Wasn't that meant to shake things up?
Yeah, and I think, that also showed us how if you don't change, then there are going to be consequences. And I think more now than ever before, I think this is probably going to be even a bigger wake-up call. And things have changed since then, but probably not as much as we would have liked. So I think this is an opportunity to get out of the comfort zone, really, and to kind of say, okay, maybe we're not 100% comfortable with doing certain things like being, more advisory, having those soft skills and so on. I hear my members constantly talk about how the accountant needs to develop the businessman or women within themselves, and to really position themselves as those trusted advisors, and predicting the future, and harnessing data to create business growth and so on. And I think now is probably the opportunity to do that more than ever before. So I'm trying to remain positive, and to really see some positive change ahead of us. And also, I work in communications, and I've been using digital as a tool for many years, but this is something where we're really behind as a profession as well. So using digital tools, using virtual tools, using technology. We are saying, yes, we've moved to cloud, but there is still a problem with collection and ownership of data, of trends like data warehouses, predictive analytics, creating a trusted and safe digital landscape for clients. There is still lack of confidence in those areas. So I think we have a real chance to have a better future if we get out of our comfort zone. We really address those areas where we're a little bit weaker, and we, as I said before, reinvent ourselves. We are going to have a chance to survive and to really remain very relevant in the future, and to help the economy recover as well.
Well, accountants must be relevant, Richard, mustn't it? Because if you think of the tough times that have been described, whatever a business is going through, insolvency, cash flow problems, or opportunities, innovation, new markets, the accountant is the answer, isn't it? As trusted advisor, the accountant can answer all the questions. So what's your forecast for the future for them?
Yeah, well, you say the accountant's the answer, but only if the accountant moves away from compliance. Because unfortunately, historical information is not relevant for present day business decisions. And I think the accountants need to look at their own firms first and start adopting the business person's approach to running those firms.
Yeah.
And I think however bad things might turn to be, and they may well be, growth and improvements in efficiency are still going to be required for all firms. And therefore they've got to start thinking about how they become more efficient through greater investment in technology. Clearly is going to be part of that. Bringing in different skill sets, whether it's business development, marketing, but other skills, not again so technical. And dare I say it, when it comes to the advisory, I know in my own firm, some of my partners, the problem is it's not that they're not capable of taking on the advisory role, they just don't know how to start. And because they don't know how to start, and they feel they don't want to embarrass themselves, they don't actually engage on it. And they said it's, they keep on saying to me, it's easy for you, because I do a lot of non-exec directorship work. And I said, no, it's not a question of easy. There's no rocket science about this. I said, if you're talking to a client and asking the client, who do you most admire in your sector and amongst your competitors, and why? What is it about them that you'd like to replicate? These are not accounting or tax questions, and they're not even technical questions. They are just basic business common sense. And as soon as you start asking clients those sort of questions, they go, wow, nobody's ever asked me that.
Yeah.
And of course, that drives a certain dialogue and a certain communication that can lead on to anything. But one thing it will definitely lead on to is the formation of a new elevated relationship with their advisor. Yeah. And it's about getting, and I think, if people look at their own firms in that way to start with and start asking questions and challenging, we always do it this way. Why are we doing it that way? There is a better way. Why don't we open it? Partners don't have, the sole brain power to make all decisions. Open it up to the rest of the firm. We have a very good head of marketing in my firm. Anything on communication, I always say, if you say no, the answer is no. Yeah. You've got to be on side. And it's that type of thing. And it's breaking down that sort of slightly antiquated hierarchical communication system. Break it down.
Oh, that'll be really popular with accounting firms that have been hierarchical for years and ran by middle-aged senior partners and managing partners and everything else, present company excluded. But I'm just going to invite you all to do some closing remarks. Martin's smiling at me there. Some closing remarks. What advice would you give, just 60 seconds each, to the accounting leaders listening that want to get through what's coming up? They want to lead better and stronger. They just give them a sense of some optimism, some positivity, something to latch onto that they can lead better. Martin, let's start with you on that.
And if I was yeah, if I had to say a few quick words, I'd say if I was speaking to another leader of a business, I'd say, think about if you could do a sort of a magic wonder what your business would look like, and you've always said that's not possible, I think today it's now possible, because now's the time to make the changes. So one, I'd go for it. Don't think that you can't do it. You can do it, and you can make those changes, because I think people are far more open now than they've been before. I also think personally, I think this is a great opportunity now for the profession. To touch on, you talk about people in the profession. I think this is a great opportunity to open the profession up to everybody now. Now that people don't feel they have to work in an office from Monday to 9 till 5, Monday to Friday. Now is the time we can get far more different backgrounds, different individuals who have got different life styles working for our firms. And that could really improve the diversity of our firms, can really improve the different types of thinking within those firms. So use this opportunity to just widen the type of individuals you can employ, because I think that will really improve the firm.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Probably more than 60 seconds, but yeah, let's see.
Yeah. Your final remarks from you, some words of encouragement and inspiration to the leaders listening. What would you say?
I'd say from a firm perspective, leadership here is critical. And if firms really need to focus on creating a culture of embracing innovation, technology, whatever it is, but they must act, they must experiment. It's okay to make mistakes. You learn from them, you move on. You rely on the association or networks that you're part of to learn more, to learn from others. But it's important, and I think Martin says it right. You can't be inert. You've got to act, and that's more important than anything before. And it's back to the basics. So how are your relationships with your clients going to be going forward? How are you going to work with staff? How is all that going to be different? How is that going to work? But do it. Don't wait.
Yeah. Richard, final thoughts from you. Words of inspiration, a call to arms for the leaders watching and listening.
I would say to each managing partner, take the next 3 to 4 weeks and speak to every single employee on a one-to-one basis, bit of quality time. First of all, giving them reassurance about the future, but also gleaning some ideas or some input from them as to how they see the future. This is not, the trouble is accountants and particularly partners have always found it difficult to change. The younger generation don't.
Yeah. And
they have certain ideas and their technology skills are way beyond partners. So I would embrace that whole concept and then come up with a partners meeting to adopt a plan for the rest of 2020 and 21.
Yeah, that's great. Goranna Stojanovic, you're our communications expert, so I've left the last words of inspiration to you. So what advice would you give to the leaders watching and listening?
Almost nothing left to say. You've summarized it so well, the four of you. So I think probably the final remark for me would be to be brave, to be bold, to try new things, to talk to others who have probably made the same mistakes you have, so you can learn from them, and really, don't be scared to try new things and to get out of your comfort zone. I think that's really, really important for this profession, because that's the only way to learn and to remain relevant.
Yeah, thank you for that. And my message to all four of you as leaders of leaders is, they say that in dark times, that's when the lighthouse really shines, and you are shining away for the people that you serve, and you're doing a terrific job. Thanks so much for your insights and your contribution today. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to keep the Zoom room open just for a few more minutes if you want to chat a little bit informally with one another. But I just want to thank you all for what you've shared today. It will go on YouTube in a few days and on LinkedIn, so we'll give you all a shout out, and keep on staying safe but making a difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.